sure he probably didn't take that or never really got a chance to clarify whatever he was asked for. And mom's dosage, and I was looking at it, so I was looking at their dosage, just trying to figure out how much science and taste of them. She stayed with pills, I felt like it was pills. And I'm looking at my dad's dosage, which is 12 milligrams, which is like 1.5 12 mils, so 18 milligrams per day, right? But that fits for 200 pounds now. So I was trying to figure out what's for 160, 150. My mom, he gave her the small half.
Thank you very much.
So they made a mistake with her. And she was taking a fraction. The one upstairs was taking 1
She's that rock.
With the other well, he got sick, it wasn't the next day. I just want to let you know, that's not for everybody, especially me with self-image. He got sick. He was taking it prophylactically too. He was so sick, we were actually worried. I took him 2.5 hours to get monoclonal treatment. I wound up using one of these good private people who give you budesonide and everything else, but nobody would even see him from Nashville. It was really hard to get him.
Oh well. Well, we have a hydroxychloroquine. So far, we haven't used either one. But
well, she actually was out of the first week, but not hydroxychloroquine. So, but the first week was the same way, but it didn't help. She had the wrong dosage, so. But he got very sick. Not hospital level sick, and got we were right there. If he didn't get better, it was hospital. Thanks for saying so. It is awful. So how do you know that?
because, well, actually, it was in that 17 years ago. And then we started having years
Right, I saw that something. Yeah, you told me. I saw that, yeah.
And so, of course, she was prolific at midnight. So she was sending those megabytes out. Every morning, to delete too much stuff. But those are things she loved to send out.
Yeah, she really was on a mission. Because Dan, if we were doing that, my mom was so we were the ones who finally got them out on their own. We're both pretty active, the same way my mom is. But so my mom really, when you newly have your eyes open, you like see the world. I mean, you try to. That's my mom, And it's all good stuff.
I know where to get it.
Yeah, she was very alert, very intelligent.
Do you feel like it?
Works really good. She was.
Maybe it just protects you.
I just mess with her. She was uniquely well behaved.
Yeah, even in the hospital. Yes. I mean, even in the end, in the hospital, and I was looking at her, she was sleeping. It was just like, I thought she was sleeping. Her best.
Yeah, without a mask, I can't really tell. I can tell you to enough tired. Do you think that we can hold?
Yeah. My mom, I'm sure there's 14 and a half with me to do this. that kind of job. It's just for,
So a couple days later, I wanted to go. And I said, oh, he's doing really well. Yeah, that's
and you can do it, but you're not comfortable with it. Oh, you know how to say love there, you know. Yeah,
Kevin's parents were in California, so we try to go to visit once a year, but just so far. So this summer party we cannot see more often.
Okay, I'm going to ask you.
they're really good friends, really, really close, and that's like the granddaughter, so please, if you can go in
No
there.
problem. I'll make sure. Actually, how's that?
Thank you so much.
You'll stand up, please. Repeat after me.
Birth,
Ata,
Atma,
I don't know.
Adonai,
Dayan,
Diana,
Amen.
Anna.
Which means, blessed be the name of the Lord, the righteous judge of truth. On behalf of Tabitha's family, I wish to thank you who are here today in person and those who are live streaming with us today for taking the time to be part of this ceremony honoring the life of Tabitha Zuckerman. Today is not a day when we say goodbye. I don't believe that. Today's the day we begin to remember. We can begin to think back of all the memories that we have that we haven't recalled until today. Especially for you, her daughter, son-in-law, grandchildren. I'm sure there's memories that you really didn't think of until you heard of your grandmother's death. Then everything comes rushing to you, and you remember the better times, the good times, how she was there helping you to grow, how she was with her husband as a couple, what they enjoyed, and how they brought you into their life, the son-in-law, which, from talking to you, her daughter, you weren't a son-in-law, you were a son. They welcomed you with open arms. And from the times that we talked, the tearing in your eyes, I saw from that the love you had for your, and still have. We don't give that up. We don't lose that today. The love you have for both your parents. Today we're honoring both of them. We're honoring Tabitha and we're honoring Sheldon. It's so close that the two of them died that Kendra and Dan and the grandchildren haven't had a chance to mourn. They haven't had a chance to grasp what has happened. A heart doesn't heal in a month, 2 days, 30 days, 6 months, a year. And this poor family had to take this, and you as the friends, in, 40 days since Dad died? Yeah, and just had to take all this in and try to make sense of it. And we can't. And that's why when we stand up, when we say this little ritual of cutting Kriya, cutting our clothing, the mourner, which is Kendra, that we show by ripping the clothing that something's been torn from our life. But in Judaism, we do this ritual standing up to show our strength, that we have the strength with our friends, our family, and if you believe in God, with God to help you through these times. So we will begin our service, and we begin it with some readings. Death has taken our beloved Tabitha and Sheldon. Our friends groove in their darkened world. In their silence there is lamentation. In their tears there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, be with them. For Tabitha and Sheldon's love that united us in life and death, and which death cannot sever. For their companionship that we shared along life's path and which continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of their heart and mind that brought us joy and happiness and is now a precious remembrance. For all these and more, we give our thanks to God. Those who wish may join me in the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. For everything there's a season, a time for every experience under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot what is planted, a time to tear down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to throw stones and a time to gather stones, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to discard, a time to tear and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak. In the rising of the sun and its going down, we will remember Tabitha and Sheldon. In the blowing of the wind and the chill of winter, in the opening of buds and the rebirth of spring, we will remember them. In the rustling of leaves and the beauty of autumn, in the beginning of the year and when it ends, we will remember both of them. When we are weary and in need of strength, when we are lost and sick at heart, we will remember Tabitha and Sheldon. When we have joys we yearn to share, we'll remember both of them. For long as we live, they too shall live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. We are assembled with our friends in the darkness that has fallen upon them. We raise our voices together to the source of life, asking for comfort and strength. We need light when gloom darkens our lives. We need fortitude and courage when pain and loss assail us. May we find these in God, who preserves from destruction all that is good. Let us find them too in loved ones and companions who do God's work by binding up the wounds of the stricken. Who among us has not passed through trials and bereavements? Some bear fresh wounds in their hearts and therefore feel more keenly the kinship of sorrow. Others whose days of mourning are more remote still recall the comfort that sympathy brought in their sorrowing hearts. May our sharing of sorrow and our deeds of solace bring comfort to the loved ones of Tabitha and Sheldon. And now I'm going to call upon Dan and then Lana to make some remarks. Go ahead.
I'm going to try really hard to deliver this eulogy without, sorry. My name is Daniel Malik. Tybee and Shelley were my parents-in-law. Their daughter Kendra is my wife. Tybee and Shelley had 3 grandchildren, all of whom they loved, with a great affection and care: Madeline, Graham, and Alana. Shelley died on the 20th of December, Tybee on the 14th of January. Their deaths are a great blow to all of us who knew and loved them. Their smiling faces, their exceptional talents, excellence of character, and superb capacity for love and friendship will be sorely missed. Shelley served aboard a ship called the USS Randolph during the Korean War. I saw a book about that ship on their bookcase last night. He had a long and successful career as a real estate executive for Cleveland companies like Cole National and American Greetings. In retirement, he continued his studies of things that interested him by attending adult education classes at Baldwin Wallace. He was an excellent tennis player, and I am told that all the ladies loved to dance with him at social events due to his great dancing skills. Years ago, he played baseball and could have gone pro had he chosen to do so. Shelley married Tybee in Brooklyn, New York, in June 1961. They were married for 60 years. Their marriage was very successful and happy, and ended only due to this pandemic of COVID. Excuse me. Tybee and Shelley loved to travel, and more so, loved their friends. They were noted for their dinner parties, social events, and friendly personalities. 25 years ago, they lost their eldest daughter, Shauna. This happened some years before my marriage to Kendra, which occurred on this day 19 years ago here in Cleveland. Excuse me. Shelley was very well loved by his many friends and colleagues, evidence of which I have seen since his death in the extraordinary outpouring of grief for him. Thank you, sir. Sorry. Such a man makes the world a better place. His loss cannot be remedied. After attending the Fashion Institute of Technology in New York, Tybee considered becoming a fashion designer. I've seen her drawings. They're excellent. She worked for many years at the Mr. Coffee Company and the Magic American Company here in Beechwood. More recently, Tybee became a writer and an editor. She worked with the Beechwood Buzz for some time, as well as helped many authors by editing their work. Tybee's writing was focused on politics. She was a superb champion for the state of Israel, for Jews everywhere, and for the protection and dissemination of fundamental truths about our country, humanity, and society. She was a strong Republican and donated to many law enforcement causes, GOP political candidates, and organizations that support and aid Israel and Jews wherever they might be. Her writing career began with letters to the editor. She was proud of an award that she got from CAMERA, which is the Committee on Accuracy in Middle East Reporting in America, for, quote, outstanding letter writing in 2009 to promote fair and factual reporting about Israel, unquote. She soon left her letters to the editor behind and became herself a political analyst and essayist. Her list of writing credits is impressive and lengthy, with numerous articles about American politics, society, and culture, in Israeli and in Middle East politics. Taibbi's writing appeared under her maiden name, Tabitha Coral, for personal security reasons. Among the publications where her work appeared are Aretz Shiva, Sentinel 2012, Dr. Swire, Israel's Voice, Jewish Press, Jewish Voice New York, Christian Action Network, Conservative News and Views, iPatriot, Liberty News and Views, Lobbyists for Citizens, Renew America, The United West, Trevor Loudon's New Zeal, Web Commentary, and the list goes on. In 2020, Taibbi collected selected articles of hers into a book that she titled Confronting the Deception, Inflamed by 9/11, Fired Up by the Deep State. Her book is highly rated on Amazon. Taibbi dedicated her book to her grandchildren, and she wrote this to them in the dedication. I was driven to defend our America and Israel, values and ethics. May you continue to love and respect our history, remain dedicated to America and Israel, and be courageous when you are needed. And the first line of her acknowledgement section is to Shelley, and she wrote, to my devoted husband, Sheldon, who is always there to encourage and support my every endeavor. Shelley and Taibbi were both patriotic Americans who loved their country. They were also firm defenders and lovers of Israel and the Jewish people. Shelley supported Taibbi's efforts because they were in agreement and because he adored her. The tragic circumstances of their deaths, that they died so close together in time, and the fact that all of us here and so many all over the world had hoped to have them with us for many more years to come, makes this tragedy all the more painful. There are unsaid things and things that were not resolved that now cannot be. Pardon me. This is the nature of death, I suppose, and another of so many reasons why it's so impossibly painful when we're confronted by it. They had a very happy and successful marriage of 60 years. They loved the city of Cleveland and all the friends they made here. They enjoyed the culture and the friendly people. These are things to be remembered with a satisfied smile. They loved their daughters, they loved their grandchildren, and they loved their friends. They both lived life fully, emphatically, lovingly, and with a firm dedication to each other and to so many others and to causes that they really firmly believed in. I'm very blessed for having known them and being welcomed into their family. Their deaths are a great catastrophe to all of us in the family and to their many friends here and abroad. We have shed many tears over the recent days and will do so for the weeks and months and years to come. Such tragedies of sudden, unexpected loss are devastating and impossible to forget, nor should they be forgotten. Such things are to be endured. Taibbi was very strong. She was in fantastic, superb physical condition, and she was conscious about her health and wellness prior to being struck down by this COVID virus that has created such havoc and grief and crisis across the world. Shelley certainly had more years ahead of him and would have had them had it not been for COVID. That we love them both is true. That we are devastated at this catastrophic loss is also true. Shelley was highly organized, highly focused as a person. He was a great American, a great husband, a great father, a great grandfather, and a true and loyal friend. What else matters? Tybee was a highly organized, highly focused person. She was a great American, an accomplished author and analyst, a highly sought editor and reviewer, a great wife, a great mother, a superb grandma. What else matters? They were both loved and respected. They will never be forgotten. Thank you.
Hi, thank you all for coming. I wrote something for my grandparents. My name is Alana. When you're just a child, you don't realize that the things that you do, the cookies that you bake and the ice cream that you eat, and the bread that you throw for ducks to eat will one day become a cherished memory. You don't realize the songs that you hear at the dinner table while you wait for a home-cooked meal will one day be a staple song that plays in your head when days are hard. I have many of those memories to cherish. My grandma and Poppy, as you know as Tybee and Shelley, have helped me make so many of them. As I get older, I look at these memories I have made and the thoughts I once had, and I understand them much more. I never thought that deeply about the interior decoration of my grandmother's house. So clean, so put together, every detail is spot on, which says a lot. My grandmother had an eye for beauty, attention to detail. She was so creative. She was fun. She was strong-willed and intelligent. My grandma loved making new memories and going to new places, and I can see all of those beautiful traits of hers in the home that she built with my grandfather, Poppy. I'll always remember the songs my grandfather sang at the table while my grandma would be searing salmon I really didn't want. And after dinner, we'd be around the table playing card games I have never played, and them sharing stories I've never heard before. I'll always remember the jokes Poppy told me on the phone, how he put ketchup on foods I still don't think ketchup really belongs on, and especially how giving, kind, and a joy to be around Poppy was. I'll always remember the day trips they would make, or they would take me and my siblings on to put in Bay, the ice cream flavor I discovered with them, and how I'd look for it in every ice cream shop, and I still do. You may know this flavor as Superman. I'll always remember Denny's breakfast, the M&Ms I'd sneak early in the morning, the bins of chocolate truffles that traveled hundreds of miles to get to my doorstep, and every birthday call and card. With sickness being on everyone's door, of course you worry, but in the back of your head you think you're an outlier in this equation, and you think, not me and not my family. It comes as a horrible shock that, yes, your family. It's unexpected, it's cruel, and turns life upside down. You look at things differently, and the things that you could have done differently is now apparent, and the calls you missed are highlighted in red. Unfortunately, you can't go back and change them, but you can make a change for the future. Do things how it should have maybe been done, and I will. I'll cherish these memories and keep them close. I'll teach my grandchildren the same card games I was taught and make them chocolate truffles in the wintertime. I will make every moment count, as did my grandparents, and I'll keep their best qualities in mind and try to be the best person I can be. I'm so beyond lucky to have the family I do, and beyond blessed I've had my grandparents in my life, and they have truly impacted me. Thank you.
I have to wait down.
Thank you.
I sat here just as you sat here, and we listened to some phenomenal words of expression. I made a statement in the beginning that, Dan, you weren't a son-in-law, you were a son. You proved that in those words. You two, the grandchildren, the words you spoke from your heart. There's no greater value of words than those that come from the heart. Kendra, you sat here and you heard your husband speak of the accomplishments of both your parents. I listened to them too. You had two amazing parents. You really did. Your mother for her love of people and the right that people should have. Her love for our state of Israel. Your father for the love of his country, serving in the armed forces. Both your parents gave and gave and gave. But not only to others, but to you. And they gave you a legacy, and they gave you a path to follow. And I found a reading I was looking for while I sat out there that I remembered, and I would like to share this with you. Birth is a beginning and death a destination, but life is a journey, a going, a growing from stage to stage, from childhood to maturity and youth to age, from innocence to awareness and ignorance to knowing, from foolishness to discretion and then perhaps to wisdom, from weakness to strength or strength to weakness and often back again, from health to sickness and back we pray to health again, from offense to forgiveness, from loneliness to love, from joy to gratitude, from pain to compassion, and grief to understanding, from fear to defeat. From defeat to defeat, until looking backward or ahead, we see that victory lies not at some high place along the way, but in having made the journey stage by stage, a sacred pilgrimage. Birth is a beginning and death a destination, but life is a journey, a sacred pilgrimage, made stage by stage. And the reason I chose that reading, and I remembered it, it says, you spoke of both their lives. They did. They did take that stage by stage. They did reach that high place along the way. And you know what? It didn't matter to them. What mattered to them is that they did it, and they accomplished what their goals were. And that's what they pass on to you. God, you gave us loved ones and make them the strength of our life, the light of our eyes. They depart and leave us on a lonely way. But you are the loving and living fountain from which our healing flows. To you the stricken look for comfort and the sorrow laden for consolation. Oh God, we see life as through windows that open on eternity. We see that love endures and the soul endures. We see that the years are more than grass that withers, more than flowers that fade. They weave a timeless pattern in the world that is the dwelling place of these people's love and glory. Please rise for the memorial prayer, if you're able. El mole rachamim shochem barmomim hamse menucha nachatacha chamfe hashkina im kodashim nerim kazora havakia mizrim es nishmas Tabitha and Sheldon Zuckerman shalach le'olamo v'al harachamim nastarehu b'seiter kanafol le'olamim v'yisror b'sor hachayim es nishmato Adonai hu nachalato v'yenuach b'shalom amish kavav v'namar amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Tabitha and Sheldon Zuckerman, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let them find refuge in your eternal presence. and that their souls be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is their inheritance. May they rest in peace. And let us all say, Amen. The interment will be at the Mount Olive Cemetery. If you're going to the cemetery, the interment, when you return to your cars, would you please put on your headlights and your flashers? I'm going to also ask that if there are any people who are physically capable to have the honor of being pallbearers who are going to that cemetery to step forward at this time. The family is not receiving people at their homes due to the pandemic. It's a terrible time in our lives. Not that we lose two great people, but we can't share our sorrows. We can't share the joy of knowing these people. We can't share the remembrances. And that's hard, especially in the Jewish religion, because of our customs. Just to remind you that friends who wish to honor these two great people may contribute to the ZOA, or the Zionist Organization of America, or the Jewish National Fund. Thank you.
Someone let you know, or I should have.
Do I have any of those wished? It could be male and female. Wish the honor of all theirs. Oh, sure. Oh, sure. Right around the corner. Yeah. Roll it out to the house and we lift it off. And the cemetery is set outside the car to the grave. And then out in the park. We'll dismiss everyone.
Okay. If we can ask people, if you'll clear the aisle. Going to ask pallbearers to follow behind the casket. Pallbearers, please. We'll follow behind the casket. We're waiting for these two. Just follow behind the casket. Again, I thank those for coming here today and being with this family. Those who are going to the cemetery may return directly to your cars. Those who are not, may also.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I think I even saw the calendar. Her calendar was so organized. It's so busy. And then, and then there's a daycare. And you just, it doesn't.
Isn't it amazing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's a terrible loss. I'm very sorry for you.
Yeah, thank you. It was that. I don't mean to put that.
Yeah, yeah.
I meant, yeah.
I think
so
today
that
there was no love sick.
because it's
Probably.
no, I really, I mean, yes, they, no, she wanted away. I mean, she, yeah, it wasn't.
We were just, we heard from her all the time, right? Yep. So, Yep. I took her, I took her someplace shopping and we had so much fun. We went all the way out to, Warren.
Yeah. Oh, did you really?
Oh, yeah, we had so much fun.
She is fun.
Yeah, she was fun. She lots of ideas. We go out together.
I'm so sorry. Thank you for telling me that. Really.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.